Welcome to the Esoerotic Dark Feminine Magic Podcast. My name is Crimson, creatrix of Esoeroticism, and I help mystically minded folks awaken their dark feminine magic. Welcome to the Portal of Enchantment.
We have Tara Valkyrie back with us. We are going to be talking about the September astrology, which, hello, baby, it's eclipse season. So, Tara,
Amen.
what is some energy we have to look forward to? Maybe some words to give us an overview of what we can expect in the month ahead.
Yeah. So the first word that keeps coming to mind is just liminal. Um and what I mean by that though is the beauty of eclipse season is yes there's some chaos, but it's because everything is becoming possible.
Ooh, yes. Go on, preach on.
Yeah. So we have, we started the eclipse portal opened. I like to be dramatic about that. Uh yes, so the eclipse portal opened with the new moon in Virgo that was on August 23rd. And then it's open until September 21st, where we have the second new moon in Virgo, which is a solar eclipse and that's the 21st. The 21st is a big deal. We have the new moon that's at 29 degrees. So when I talk about degrees, if you look at an astrology chart, it's the pie, it's the pizza. I'm food motivated, so that's how I learned it. I was like, "Ooh, pizza's like this." But each slice, each sign gets 30 degrees. So when you see the 12 slices, 30 degrees, 12 times 30 is 360. It makes a circle. There's math, you guys. So anyway, yeah, and we started this eclipse window at 0 degrees Virgo, which meant at the very beginning of Virgo. And we are concluding it at the very end of Virgo at 29 degrees, even though technically, and like right afterwards, the sun moves into Libra. It's like this coordinated, it's very Virgo. It's very like, okay, at this minute, we have the new moon and then Libra season. And the fact that it's Virgo, so Virgo in its highest vibration, and I know we talked about this a bit last month. Don't worry, Libra. I promise we're going to talk about Libra energy. But with Virgo energy in the context of eclipses, this is about one, returning to our integrity, meaning what is our internal compass? And I know last month we talked about purity of heart, purity of self, which has nothing to do with chastity. It is just being in your integrity. It is also about giving yourself the permission to release aspects of systems that are no longer healthy for you. And that also includes, Virgo is mutable earth, and all of the signs have psychic ability, have intuitive ability. With mutable, it's very much attached to our daily experience. And so even if you don't have a lot of mutable energy, and when I say mutable, I'm talking about Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini. When you are in a mutable season, we tend to feel things in our bodies more. And so the daily devotional practices become very important. And with this eclipse is we are really becoming aware of our daily devotions, where we need to kind of deepen that practice, and then where do we need to shift to return to that.
I love it. And I am going to share that our September theme of the month in the multiverse, we always have a grimoire study, and we've been studying different planets after going through the elements, and it's Saturn. And to me, Saturn is all about cultivating devotion long term. And that's actually a covenant that we're together in the multiverse this month. We are actually collectively devoting to a daily practice of whatever it is that we want to have that ongoing long-term support and success with. So tell me, it's almost like it's astrologically inspired. So
Yeah.
I find Saturn to be very devotional.
Yes.
And I know
Yes.
we're probably going to talk about Saturn because I know Saturn is influencing on this month as well. But
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
we'll get there when we get there. But just
Yes.
who listens to this and is like, what do you do over in the multiverse? How does this intertwine? Like, we take this energy and we cultivate practices together in addition to our classes and everything. So and then we get deeper into it with our discussion. So I love it. It is time to build new foundations, and foundations are strongest foundations that lead to our greatest support in our growth and expansion, in our favorite version of ourselves. Those foundations don't get laid in a day. It doesn't get laid when doing a ritual once a month or anything like that. It is a devotion to create strong and steadfast foundations. So
it's so true. It's so true. And, you know, again, like I said, you know, with Virgo being Earth, you know, Saturn is very much a grounded Earth practical energy. And I'm going to hype Saturn a little bit because Saturn gets picked on. I've picked on Saturn.
You know, it's like you don't like what's good for you. You're like, I don't want to eat my vegetables today. And it's like,
right. And it's my favorite quote about Saturn, and it's so true. Boundaries give us freedom.
yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's so true. And so this is, you know, because we came off Leo season. You know, we came off fixed fire Leo, and it was great. Like, you know, we were hyping ourselves up. We were really channeling that sacred sexual energy. We're still in the sacred sexual energy. This time, though, instead of just going as big as we possibly can, we're now coming back and we're kind of checking. We're like, okay, that was a great summer, or that was a not so great summer. What do I need to redevote myself to? And kind of adding to that energy, on September 1st, Saturn, which has been in retrograde, it retrogrades back into Pisces for the final time for the next 30 years.
What's it mean, Tara? What's it mean?
So, you know, Saturn's it dipped its toes into Aries, and then it went retrograde earlier this summer. And if we could see it, it would look like it's moving backwards from our vantage point. And all it means is that our orbit is passing it right now. And so from our vantage point, it's going to be going back into the constellation, the sign of Pisces. And this is representative of some deep karmic chapters that are closing for us that may have begun, you know, up to 3 years ago. And but especially, and you can look in your chart of where you have 25 to 29 degrees of Pisces. And that is an area, or you could just also just think back to like, what's been going on for me? You can look back over the entirety of Saturn's journey through Pisces, but if you want to get more specific, you can look at probably like the last year or so. And that is all just things around belief structures. What it was, I think July when I was dragging Aubrey Marcus. We're gonna do it again. So one real world example that we're probably going to see more of is you know, Saturn in Pisces. On the one hand, it's beautiful. It's this expansive energy around our belief structures, recognizing that we can create our reality. We can shift the energy that is present. Now, the shadow side of it is we don't want to be responsible for ourselves, so we give our power away. And so we're closing out that chapter.
That's so interesting because I do find that it seems that a lot of spiritual leaders not rooted in their teachings have kind of fallen away or have been called out kindly, as in the Aubrey Marcus case. If those who do not know what we're talking about, return to our July podcast or just do a Google. But essentially, I think someone who was very revered as a spiritual teacher, and people were eating up, oh, I should take this supplement. Okay. Oh, I need to do this. Okay. This is the kind of relationship I should have. Okay. And then finally, I think their inner compass awakened and was like, okay, what you're preaching right now does not resonate, does not land in me. So we're calling back our personal authority when it comes to our spiritual and our soulful path, huh?
Yes. And it's not just the people who like joined a name brand cult. It has to do with all, we all have incidences in our lives where, we gave away our power out of convenience, or survival or whatever it might be. And so, with this is just this revisiting, because we got a little taste of Saturn and Aries, which was very much about, stand in your own power. What are your beliefs? What are your structures? Can you back those up? Are those sound? With going back into Pisces, this strong Pisces Virgo energy over the month of September is what I love about it too. Is Pisces gets picked on for being delusional. In its low vibe, it absolutely is. Not gonna lie, it loves drugs, it loves delusion. In the higher vibe, it is unshakable. It is the term that I love to describe Pisces in the high vibe is gently ruthless. Meaning it knows the path of integrity and it is not going to waver from that. And that's what Saturn's inviting us to do. It's like, cool, you got a little taste of me and Aries standing in your power. Now we're going to go back and review your belief systems, review where have you been a little stuck in your victim mindset. And that has, and I see that too. I was talking with a group of wonderful friends about communities that I'm a part of and that they're a part of, and how we see this behavior even at that level where they're like, oh, well, I joined this group and they said this was the right way to do things. And they said this, and it's like, cool story, bro. What do you believe? You can only blame other people for so long. And it becomes very important for us to be in our integrity because we do have massive systems that are under review, not just in our nation, but throughout the world. And so we're coming into this collective evolution of really getting clear on who we are, what we believe, and what needs to be restructured.
Oh, and I cannot imagine that not everyone listening is feeling that in some capacity. You know what? You putting it that way, what it reminds me of with this Pisces energy, with the Saturn and the Virgo influence, is that you say you get introduced to a spiritual or soulful practice or anything really via TikTok. And you are like, this is my thing. This crazy person told me that, that the eclipse means that the world is going. Remember, there was like that whole time, the last eclipse season, where people
oh my God, yes,
living themselves and going buck wild, and us thinking, oh my goodness, and following these very low level disembodied gurus, guides, whatever. And it was through that we realized, oh, not everyone with a voice out there knows what the fuck they're talking about.
Amen.
And it's important that I start to embody this work for myself and not just listen and take for truth what other people are preaching and saying. That's what Saturn to me leads us into, is to an embodiment practice where it takes a lot longer. And that higher expression of Pisces to me is the sage. It's the person who has devoted, the 40-50 years of their life to really developing an understanding of whatever it is that they do. And you can see, okay, we all move through that spectrum, but we are on the spectrum right now. And I think we're starting to appreciate the sage and being a bit more skeptical of just any message that comes through that we would like because it's minorly convenient. Like, oh, if you listen to this and hit like, your abundance is going to activate it. This is coded with, this whole message is coded with money, the energy. So if you do XYZ and forward this and like this, then you will have blessings, or this crazy stuff that you see.
I know. I'm like, the 90s call, they want their chain emails back.
It's so, like you said, I think we hear missing integrity, and we think that we're woefully being underhanded or something. And it's not that. It's that we have kind of chosen to align with something that probably deep down we know, this isn't right. Or we really just had to learn a lesson of that we need to embody our beliefs and not just take them from a preacher or a politician or a 16-year-old on TikTok, whatever.
A TikTok mystic. TikTok mystic. Yeah, and I think too, it's so interesting because there's a lot of the other thing too, that another word that comes to mind with this. So I talked about liminal space. The other two words that come to mind are devotion and discernment. And like what you just said, like the 16-year-old TikTok mystics, not to like pick on them too much, although I am going to pick on them a bit, because I think we all go through that. But the thing is, like, when you and I were 16, we didn't have this platform, so it was like limited to like what weird shit you and your high school friends could come up with on a Thursday afternoon.
It's just the inherent point of our journey where we think we know everything when we've just awoken to something. And that is a universal human experience. And God bless, I can't imagine how having TikTok at that age. But yes,
oh my God,
the platform at that age was a gift.
It was. I've said it before. I miss being 16 to 19 because I knew everything. I knew everything then. The world was so tiny and simple. I could put it in a box. And now it's just, God, it's got tentacles. It's everywhere.
Nuance. Oh my goodness.
Nuance. So much nuance. Yeah. Every day I'm like, wow, I didn't know as much as I thought I did. Okay. But yeah, so, the devotion and discernment, I know we like kind of talked about devotion already with this Saturn journey, and then on the 2nd of September, this is going to help us with our discernment. Mercury comes home to Virgo. Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini, and when Mercury's in Gemini, that's kind of like the trickster energy. Like I think of Loki.
Yes.
Just the deity of just kind of chaos. But Mercury in Virgo is like, okay, let's get real about this. So it's awesome because it takes all of the Pisces energy. We've got a lot of mutable energies from it. We've got the Saturn in Pisces. We've got Uranus in Gemini. And Mercury in Virgo comes in and is like, okay, lots of great ideas. Let's start to distill this down. And it works with the Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And the other myth I'm going to squish is again TikTok. Oh my God. It's a blessing and a challenge.
We have a lot of opinions for people who aren't on TikTok, I'll tell you that.
I know, but it's like every time I walk in there, it's like opening the door to a clown car. You don't know what you're gonna find. So anyway, there was this sweet baby human, couldn't have been more than 18 years old, and was talking about how Pisces and Virgo hate each other because they're on opposite ends. And I'm like, absolutely not. And if something is on an axis, there are any of the signs that are on these, opposing axes, they may appear opposite, but their end goal is the same.
That's why you always, if you go on like the dating thing or the relationship thing, you actually form very nice relationships with people who are on opposite axes of you, because you kind of complete each other a little bit with the same core values, which is like, cancel that person, cancel them.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So
we'll have a whole other podcast on.
I know. Oh my goodness.
Cancel culture.
So how does Pisces and Virgo, what is their, tell us about this axis and how they have the same mission that you were saying.
Yeah. So, Virgo, like I said, mutable earth. Pisces, mutable water. Pisces is about the expansion. It is about totality. All the dramatic astrology texts talk about that. But it is kind of what I like to think of it as, Pisces is all the possibilities. Virgo is about bringing that magic into the mundane.
As is above, so is below, baby.
Exactly. And so what happens is, Virgo brings order to the Pisces chaos, but then Pisces reminds Virgo, hey, there's magic in literally everything.
Yeah, take the stick out of your butt.
Exactly. Yes, take the stick out of your ass. It's magic. Enjoy yourself a little bit. So, yeah, and so they it's this, dueling energy, and at times it can come in and it can seem because it's at opposite ends, it can seem like, okay, I don't know how we're gonna reconcile these two things, but really at the end of the day, it is coming home to yourself and recognizing that you are of the earth and you are of the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
And
completion.
It's the completion, and you have this duality.
Yeah. Don't get me started. Our card of the month in the multiverse is the world, and it's all about the integration of the as above and so below, and that our spiritual purpose here is not to escape the earth, but to learn how to be connected with the divine through our earthly journey. And that is the trials and tribulations that we move through the major arcana, and that integration of duality. And so
yeah, and it's so powerful, which we're going to learn about the power, because on the 7th of September we have our full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and that is that I believe is at 15 degrees Pisces. I've learned to start saying degrees because there are people that are like, I need the degrees, which I love. So a lunar eclipse, just like very quick review, lunar eclipses always occur at a full moon. And with it being in Pisces, this is a very deep surrender. Yeah. So just to kind of like a quick rundown, if you look at the water signs, Cancer is about coming back home, coming back to your foundations of this lifetime, and also what you're creating in terms of legacy. Scorpio is about going into that internal metamorphosis, transformation. When we think of Scorpio, we think of the traditional underworld journey. Pisces is the dissolution of self completely. And with eclipses, we are releasing something collectively and individually that it's been an integral part of us. And we're releasing it because we're making space for something also integral to us to grow.
And if we look, this is where, we need to come to your Moon Club natal chart night. But if we look in our charts where that degree falls in which house, that can give us kind of a hint around potentially where that, okay.
Yeah.
Pull up your natal charts and see where this could be happening for you. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I mean, the first Moon Club of September, we're going to be talking about these eclipses because they're like a really big deal.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I love that we have this class where we can ask you direct questions and also look at our natal chart later in the month to start to have some self-discovery through that. But yeah, I love how you said in the beginning that that eclipses have chaotic energy, but it is because of chaotic energy that big magic and great shifts can happen. That is literally the essence of chaos magic.
Yes.
That it is the chaos of the universe that we work with to our benefit and with our intention to create magic. So you can think of these eclipse portals as time of magic because there's not so much. It's kind of like, I've used this before, so let me know if this works. Okay, so everyone's waiting in line to get somewhere, and everyone's in line, and everyone's where they're supposed to be. It's very hard to jump from the back of the line to the front like you would do with your magic, because we're all structured, we're all here, we see you, we know what's going on, there is order. Now if that line starts to shake up and people start throwing chairs and there's food fighting and they're talking in a group over here, there's chaos happening.
Yeah.
You may be in the back of the line, but you can just skedoodle right up to the front using your magic and walk right through and not having to wait. Think of eclipse seasons like that. Think of chaos magic like that. It's working with the uncertainty, the non-predictability of the energy to use magic and to like sneak through.
I love that description. And then the other thing that is really cool about eclipse energy is because I always get baby witches who will message me, and I love it. I love that they do this. But they sometimes it'll be like they'll find something and they're like, okay, this other astrologer said that I have to do my spell at 3:08 a.m., but I have to be sleeping then. Y'all who know me, you know I am not one of those astrologers that's like, it must be at this time. So with eclipses, there is a heightened amount of chaos energy. And some people look at that as a negative thing because they're like, oh, it's really, dangerous or negative to try to manifest. And maybe this because I have a ton of Pisces energy, I look at it as this opportunity to allow things to flow. And my favorite thing to do with eclipses is, I will have things on my heart that I'm like, this is something I'm working on. This is what I'm building, or this is what I'm releasing. I also just love being able to open to the universe and being like, what's on my heart. What is for my highest good. Let's flow together, which I know is so Pisces. Let's flow together, man.
What, Tara? I think that is you moving from TikTok mystic to lifelong sage. And because I have found over time too that I don't really enjoy doing spells for precise things.
Yeah.
I really like to take advantage of the energy to embody and get kind of clarity around the directional, maybe, and a general outcome, the direction I want to head in, but rather working with spirit and magic in the sense of for my highest good.
Yeah.
and existing in, well, I know I'm moving towards creativity, I'm moving towards freedom, I'm moving towards healthy relationship, doing more of the internal work of, well, where am I in an unhealthy expression of that right now, doing that, and then instead of saying I want this, this, and this, and I'm going to have this 12 ingredient spell to do, because instead just doing ritual around the energy, cultivating
Yes.
the energy and the clarity of self and the willingness to get uncomfortable to move to a next level. Because I have found that everything that I thought I freaking wanted at one point wasn't really what I wanted, and that you could never really visualize what it is that is for your greater favorite self's good.
Yeah.
Because it's unpredictable, right?
Yes. And, kind of piggybacking off of that, one thing that I've learned, one thing about Pisces is the one of the big kind of characteristics of it is the dissolving of ego. And that is scary to us little humans. And I will tell you, every time I have forced something through ego, because I do have a force of will. If I want something to happen, it's gonna happen. But every time I have forced something through ego, I have regretted it.
Yeah.
I've been like, oh wow,
if I would have just
this
waited,
job sucks. I knew that it was gonna suck, or whatever it might be, or this car is horrible. Like anything that I have forced through, and this eclipse can be uncomfortable, because lunar eclipses are about these deep releases, and deep realizations about either an aspect of ourselves or just something around us that we have believed in. Pisces deals with the kind of the overall beliefs, so spirituality, what we have kind of held to be true for us. And so we may have realizations, and sometimes they can be really beautiful. It's like, oh, wow, this really holds true. I need to really anchor into this further. And that sets us up either for anchoring into that further with the solar eclipse in Virgo that occurs 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Or we may realize, oh, that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I got to let that go. And that can be very uncomfortable, speaking from personal experience.
Because a lot of times we assign things to something that isn't true. Like you assign this job is going to qualify me for this and is going to provide me with this, and that's not true, or this person, or if I just achieve this and it's not true. I mean, maybe it's because this is why we're dark feminine, devotees. I love a good release because it's so generic, but what's meant for you won't miss you, and so.
Yes. And I think the other thing too about the dark feminine, that one is initially terrifying. I'm just going to say it. Because I know that in both of our journeys, there were, we've both had experiences where we're like, wait, if this isn't me, then who am I? Or if I don't get this opportunity, what am I going to do?
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's this, allowing ourselves to move through, because the other thing too, that the narrative that we are in active release of, which is why it feels like it's really bearing down right now, is there is this narrative, especially in the US, of you have to white knuckle through everything.
Yeah.
And you have to work and be miserable through everything.
Yes.
And you have to do that, so then you're supposed to white knuckle, so then you can brag about it and get the external accolades. Whereas the dark feminine model and the model of these eclipses is, be really centered in who you are, know what you want, so when something is not for you, you're able to let it go. Even if you're scared, even if you don't know what's coming next, you're like, but I got this.
Yes.
I'm going to move through this.
We had a lot of conversations around this in classes this month around the sun.
Yeah.
and how it is so important to know thyself authentically, because when you know yourself authentically, that can't be taken from you because of some kind of external situation. Oh, this person didn't, give me a compliment, or this person decided they didn't want to be my friend, or this situation, I didn't get the opportunity that I wanted. If you can become unshakable in thyself beyond the ego's need for external validation, wow, what if, like, talking about foundations, what a foundation to
Yes.
build yourself to.
Well, and I mean, you and I know this because we've had our first Saturn returns. But spoiler alert, y'all who are approaching or in your first Saturn return, that's what it's about. It is about becoming unshakable in your foundations. And the reason why, one cool thing about being a younger person now is Saturn return is widely talked about, and I think too, because of what we have gone through culturally since, I mean, yes, 2020 was a big deal, but it really began a few years before that. I would say in 2017 with the Leo Aquarius eclipses. The reason why Saturn returns used to be so jarring for a lot of us is because we were still very much in this ego-based mindset of like we had to follow this external formula. Whereas now we're recognizing the power in this, and I call it the integrity formula instead of the ego formula.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. I coined that trademark now. So, and this, these eclipses are taking us deeper because another aspect where Pisces and Virgo are actually very similar, even though they seem different. Pisces is the energy. I mean, it is like magic in all things. Everything is connected. You can get like really esoteric with it. Virgo is about the everyday. And like what you were saying about these everyday devotions, that's what makes a difference. It's not the, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to spend 8 hours at the gym on Monday. I'm going to be sore for 2 weeks and then I'm going to do it again. It's the I think you and I were talking about this the other day. It's the, we were talking about like our morning, kind of our exercise and things like that. And you and I both do like a little practice in the morning. Like we'll do the dancing, and then like I'll do a 20-minute yoga practice. And it's just these little things that we start doing. And I think the other thing with Virgo energy and these eclipses is a lot of times, a lot of manifestation is always looking at the future. And that can absolutely be a good thing.
Right.
A lot of the crap we humans have gotten ourselves into is because we did not look far enough ahead. But we often, it's like you were saying earlier about like, oh, I need to get this job and then I will be happy, or I need to do this thing and then I will be happy. This season is about like, what if you were happy right now? What can you cultivate right now? Because joy is also one of the quickest ways that we reconnect with our power.
Ooh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
Feel
Yes.
that.
Yeah, because when we're in joy, we're expansive. When we're in fear, when we're in the lack mentality, we contract in. And that's when we start being like, okay, well, it sucks now, but if I work toward this nebulous thing, whereas you can absolutely be like, okay, this is shit right now, and this thing is really good.
It's energy, man. It's all energy. And we need to understand, I always like to speak magically, but what are we resonating with?
That.
And I like to think of it, I speak to this concept in our dance and our movement around pleasure, that when you are in pleasure, you are in a state of non resistance,
Yes.
meaning that you can both release and call in with ease because you are not resisting something that potentially is a bit scary or big to call in, or something that you're clinging to. You're not resisting and
Yeah.
clinging to things. And the same can be said about joy.
Yes.
Absolutely. So that's why I
Yeah.
also love infusing humor in my magic and my ritual.
Amen. Yes. Yes.
Anyone who does, anyone who does the multiverse lunar rituals with me, they know that we're going to get weird at some point. And because it's a disarming, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's also too, we've all had the experience of like something joyful catches us off guard and we start to laugh. And okay, and I've had the thing where I start to laugh and then I'm like, oh, and now I need to cry. And then I feel better. Like I've definitely had that. Um, but then too, it's like when I love what you talk about with when you're not in a state of resistance, that allows things to move. And that's if you have one takeaway from the eclipses is if you don't know what to do otherwise, cultivate joy. Because and that's the thing too is I get on these astrologers. I've dragged a couple of astrologers
We love it.
who
We're here for it. Bring the tea.
yeah, there's one in California. I've dragged enough. I'm waiting for them just to show up one day and be like, we're gonna take care of this right now. But the thing that I don't think is talked enough about in eclipses is joy.
Mhm.
Finding joy in the release. And sometimes, whatever the release may be, it can be very uncomfortable, but there is a morsel of joy to be found.
Absolutely. There is. Have you seen that documentary? I think it's called Happy or something like that. And
Mhm.
it's basically a documentary where it follows people from around the world to
Yes.
study their level of being happy. We know that happiness is a bit more conditional than joy, and they probably use the wrong word, but whatever.
Yeah.
But what we learned in that documentary is that people who have nothing compared to our standard in the United States, or I guess privileged for us, privileged in the United States, but shanty towns,
Yeah.
people who are rickshaw drivers for making coins per day have joy, and in many instances a lot more joy and happiness than people who have acquired the dream, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that may be, the Lambos, the
Mhm.
status, the jets, whatever. And it really makes you think, what do I ultimately want? If I want joy, why can't I just find joy now? Why do I need these external things? And man, imagine during this chaotic energy that we talked about, and chaos being a good thing, just unpredictable.
Yeah.
Imagine just being in joy in this unpredictable energy. Like attracts like. That's how resonance works. If you are resonating with joy, imagine how many unexpected, unpredictable, joyful things can just magnetize to you simply because
Mhm.
it's the state that you chose. So, Tara,
Yes.
obsessed with this personal devotion you are having us set for eclipse season. I'm going to adopt it.
Yes. Yeah. And I love it too because and I will say this every month that we need to hear it, especially right now with what is going on, in our home country in the United States if you're listening outside. Um joy, seeking joy and connection, that is an act of resistance
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of the heavier negative crap that is going on.
Yeah.
And it's like because when we're in joy and genuine joy, when we are in genuine joy, when we are connecting with each other, we're not doom scrolling, we're not buying a bunch of plastic shit off the internet. We're having a great time. And I love what you were saying too, because this is also a big thing with the solar eclipse and Virgo that rounds out Virgo season,
Let's go.
about working with the energy. And okay, I said this at the Vespertine studio a couple weeks ago, and a couple people were like, hey, don't come for my crystals. But I was like, you don't need. And I was like, look, I got my shelves of rocks and my witchy books and my tchotchkes. I'm always finding sticks and bones outside that I'm like, this is pretty. I'm gonna make this into art. So I'm not shitting on anyone's pile of shinies. Because I got my own.
Wow.
However, I have the pile of shinies because they bring me joy. It's not pile of shinies because I need them to do my spell work, or I need them to be authentically a witch or whatever it might be. And that's the thing with, so, I talked about the lunar eclipse. Now, on the 21st, like literally 5 minutes before Libra season happens, we have the solar eclipse. Solar eclipses always happen at a new moon. This is at 29 degrees Virgo. Yeah. What? Both the new moons in Virgo were at these critical degrees. 0 degrees, new chapter. 29 degrees, closing the chapter. Like, oh my God, you guys.
Woo. Portal time, baby.
It is portal time. It is portal time. And I mean, Virgo too, and the kind of the final key word I would leave you with Virgo is simplicity. It is a return, and by simplicity, it's kind of like the purity thing. It has nothing to do with like fragile male ego, patriarchy. It has nothing to do with lack. It is remembering that your power exists in yourself, and your physical body is part of that power. Your physical body is, in alignment with your aura. In science, we say your electromagnetic field, same thing. It is all within you to create, to wield whatever it is that you're wanting to shift in your reality.
The magic has always been within us. It's not the tools. And this is so perfectly timed because the first ever Esoerotic Dark Feminine magic retreat is happening during this eclipse portal. And we are going to be here on that new moon.
Yes.
It's exciting and also scary because I have to finish the property. But what I've really come to recognize is that if the property is not done, the people who are here, it's going to be done enough. And it's not about that. It's not about, oh, this room looks perfect. It's not about, oh, there's like a roof on the building. No, I'm just kidding. But like we've had that. But it's and something, this is my first retreat where I've really pulled back on the objects. Like in past retreats, it's been very object heavy. Okay, we need these candles, these crystals, we're going to create this with, a witch's ladder, blah, blah, blah. And it's because I have fallen out of love with that type of magic. And my favorite magic now is the magic's within me. It's in our movement. It's in our intention. It's in our connection, in our words. There will be some fun, we love fun talismans. We love fun things like that. But it's to me, this is such a deeper experience because it's not putting our power in external things. It's not because it's a fucking orange candle that it's going to work. You know what I mean? It's the energy that we align with that. And obviously I'm still into those, like, I paint the studio red in order to ground people into their body. That is my form of color magic. Things like that. But yeah, point being, I love that you're bringing up because that's something that I'm going to speak with them about in our opening night, which is like, let's release during this eclipse portal, this idea that anything that we need is outside of us. Use this as an opportunity to really uncover our essence. You say your integrity. I always like to say, know thyself.
Yes.
How do you know yourself? And to do that, you do need to, you said eclipse season, we release, we let go. We need to release external influence that we have adopted as our own beliefs and thoughts and understandings of the world.
Yes. And I love that. Okay, so you said the retreat is happening over the solar eclipse, right?
The 18th to the 22nd. What?
Oh, that's gonna be so cool. I love that because, I said that we had the lunar eclipse in Pisces on the 7th, lunar eclipse, full moon, big release, solar eclipse, new moon. The energy in this is so interesting because there is an element of like a karmic closing of chapters. And by the way, if you're new to listening to me or new to this, karma just means lessons that we have not yet integrated, that we are in the process. I do not believe in like angry sky daddy, you know.
Jenkins, even though it sounds real.
Yeah, our nation has such like a screwed up view of karma, and yeah, that's another podcast. But so there's still this like element of that closure and release. But then with solar eclipses, it's a very auspicious time, because oftentimes, especially kind of from the date of the solar eclipse to 3 months after, I mean, we're in the energy of eclipses for 6 months after them, but really the potency with solar eclipses is the 3 months after. And a solar eclipse, because it's dealing with new moon, new beginnings, we're often presented with some kind of opportunity that forces us to step into our power, and in such a way that we have to align, like whatever was unclear becomes very clear very quickly, because we have to act. And it's oftentimes, like the traditional astrology says, lunar eclipses are more of an internal reckoning and realization, and solar eclipses are more of an external. Something happens around us that causes us to have to step into who we were meant to be.
An initiation into our greater purpose. I love it.
Yes. And I always think of, I'm such a nerd, I always think of the scene in Lion King when Simba, I also think about this with Saturn Returns, where like Simba's been fucking around with Timon and Pumbaa, and then the ghost of Mufasa comes back and he's like, remember who you are. Like that's that's the dorky image that comes to my mind.
I
But
love it.
yeah. And this is really cool, because this entire chaotic season, said with love, said with empowerment, empowered chaos.
We love
is-
chaos.
Yeah, I realized later, I was like, oh, I've been a chaos witch all my life.
Yeah, I mean, the world is inherently chaotic, and so I think it is a resistance to it is a need for control, and control is an illusion. Now, chaos doesn't have to be, I'm not saying I love destruction and mayhem and a lack of vision and direction. That's not what we're talking about. Literally, the unpredictability.
Yes. And all of this energy, this is swirling, because this is, like I said, the solar eclipse in Virgo happens like 5 minutes before Libra season begins. And Libra season is this return to harmony.
Okay.
And, it's empowered harmony. But Virgo season is for like getting right with ourselves, so that we can step into Libra season with a more integrated sense of balance. And there's a line from I wrote down in my notes about Libra season, this energy that begins right afterwards. So Libra is cardinal air, and because it's a cardinal energy, so cardinal energies are Libra, Aries, Capricorn, Cancer. This is the initiation of a new phase, a new season, a new state of being. And it represents the energies of active harmony between opposite perceptions of being, and is the experience of self through other.
That's what you were talking about, but the axis that you were talking about before, this would apply, right?
Yes. And spoiler alert, all of the axes in astrology, all the signs, there is some kind of balance of self and other.
And Libra,
as above, so below.
As above, so below. As within, so is without. So Libra is teaching us this way to, and I could see now how you were saying that it was so important for us to tend to our ego, that would be difficult to do if we had an unchecked ego who wouldn't be able to see beyond the self-importance.
Right. And here's the thing. Here's how ego, being stuck in ego, can sneak up on us, especially with Libra energy. So we usually think of ego, the way you just described it was perfect. When we think of ego, we think of, if I had to look at, label that, I would say that's very Aries, my way or the highway, Mars. Ugh. The way Libra ego can tip in is kind of like lower vibe Pisces. Lower vibe Libra is, well, I'm just gonna be the martyr and I'm just gonna compromise. I don't like, I'm gonna be really passive aggressive about it. But if someone asks me directly, I'll be like, no, it's fine.
Oh, no bueno.
Yeah. So ego can also be, oh, I need to be known as a peacekeeper, or I need to be known as nice, or I need to be known as someone who doesn't like conflict. So I'm not going to advocate for what I feel is right.
Again,
And this goes back to Saturn. You can hold a boundary and be very kind. You can be kind yet very firm.
yeah, it goes back to living authentically and
Yeah.
and knowing thyself authentically so you can live authentically. And if anybody wants to hear more about the ego, literally the previous podcast we did with Des, and we spent a whole podcast talking about ego, and it was very interesting.
Yes.
She knows a lot more about that topic than me, and you know more than me. So thank you for sharing that. But yeah, check that out if this is getting y'all hot and bothered with the ego.
Getting you. But yeah, and it's interesting too. Kind of the final thing I'll talk about that's interesting about that time period. So, solar eclipse in Virgo, Libra season begins, and like 5 minutes after Libra season begins, Mars moves into Scorpio.
Oh, daddy. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. So if you ever want to know why I'm so alluring and sexy, it's because my Mars is in Scorpio.
It all makes sense. Oh, give us the tea. What is Mars in Scorpio?
Yeah. So what I'll point out about this, I had one of the little snippet I read, I talked about Libra representing the energies of active harmony. And one thing that Libra is just as much, alignment, especially empowered alignment, is just as powerful in action as something direct, something that's Mars based. And we contain the spectrum of energy. What's going to help us with staying in our integrity is with Mars moving into Scorpio. Mars naturally rules Aries and Scorpio. So it is very at home in Scorpio. It rules Scorpio with Pluto. And it is not about the surface level subtleties. It is going down deep, and it is also about the it is the embodiment. Mars in Scorpio is the embodiment of nevertheless we persisted.
I find Scorpio to be so dark feminine.
It is. And it is very much so. If I had to, I know we've talked before that we contain all of the energies. If you look at traditional astrology, I look at Mars and Aries. I think of that as like the traditional masculine. I picture like gladiator or like Sparta. Like he's out there, the gladiator dude. I forget the actor's name. Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. He's in the arena and like you can see everything he's doing. When I look at Mars and Scorpio, I do feel it's very dark feminine because it is moving in the shadows, not because it's necessarily up to anything sketch, but it's like, I don't need your approval. I know where I need to go. I know what I need to do. And it is also the energy of, it moves in silence and it moves to its own rhythm. It's like, okay. And as someone with a Mars and Scorpio, I had to learn like, because again, being you and I have both done the corporate thing. We've done the traditional thing where you just have to like go all the time. Because Scorpio inherently is about cycles, and part of that cycle is going into the underworld. I think of the goddess Persephone. there is this cycle of just persistence, persistent action, and then equally persistent rest. Persistent just opening to, okay, what's my next move, and allowing ourselves to flow with the cycles of nature, with our own energetic cycles.
You're so good at
Thank you. Thank you. I received that. I've been working on that. I started to be like, "Ah!"
that. But it keeps you in that universal flow. And it's when it's in those cycles that you actually learn yourself at a deeper level, and then you emerge with more clarity. We keep saying know thyself, right? The integrity that comes about, it's practiced in the light, but it's uncovered in the darkness.
Yes, yes. And allowing that, the other thing too is pop astrology paints Mars in Scorpio as this like ruthless assassin, which Mars absolutely can be that.
Yeah.
However, the other aspect that encompasses the dark feminine, and the dark feminine can be a ruthless assassin, absolutely.
Yeah, no problem with that.
Yeah, no problem with that. But it's also allowing ourselves to soften and surrender so that we may go deeper and draw up these vast wells of power. And that being coupled with Libra season is, and what I love too is we've got, Mars and Scorpio, which is very dark feminine. We have Libra season. Libra is ruled by Venus. It's like all of these alignment energies are coming together and recognizing that our power exists in so many different iterations. And we're beginning this exploratory journey as a collective on staying in harmony with ourselves and seeing how that's so much more powerful than trying to fit into a system that is actively dying.
Oh, so Mars and Scorpio, that's perfect for that. Oh, I love that. Yes. It's undeniable that these systems are falling. And so us being the wayfinders and the light bearers forward by embodying it ourselves and showing that it works.
Yes. Showing, and I think too, another thing that this overall time period, and we're kind of at the cusp in September because we're going to be in this energy for a while. I remember it was kind of like peak 2019 to 2021. I would get on social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and the depiction of success is some dude bro with a bunch of Lambos outside of like a luxury apartment. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. Those are your mom's Lambos. We all know that. Like,
you definitely rented those Lambos.
You rented those for like 15 minutes because that's all you can afford. But now what I'm seeing is there's more and more, and I roped a couple of my friends into this because I was seeing this. I'm like, okay, well, the algorithm knows I'm a feral witch. They know I want to see like cottagecore stuff and little goats. So I specifically recruited other friends. I'm like, wait, you have different interests from me. I need you to like search for these things. And like tell me what comes up. And so anyway, what was so fascinating is there's more depictions of success. There's a wider range of what it looks like, but it's more real world based. And it is not so overtly white male masculine.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah. And it's really fascinating. I'm really interested to see where that goes.
Because we had to go through that journey. I really do believe that collectively we had to go through that and to aspire to it in some way or form, even though you and I were not recording social media content in front of Lambos and jets or anything like that. But you know what I mean? In some sense, that reached all of us. Potentially it was, I need a big crystal. Oh, if I had a 3-foot crystal, that's maybe our version of the Lambo. I don't know.
Right.
If we had a little cottage in the woods, I don't know. Whatever that was, we needed to move through that and come out of the other side to realize, oh, that wasn't the thing. And so I'm almost feeling like, what if we can think about this eclipse portal as a time to release the ick? Anything that just feels icky to you is probably out of alignment at this point, and to instead do what it takes to stay in joy. And in doing that, you will recognize what truly is important to you, and you will release any of the icks that are holding you back from that joy. And then let's just see what unexpected gifts are magnetized. How do we feel about that?
I love that. I love that. That is spot on with this energy.
Well, yeah. I can just don't do what I don't like and do what I do like. I feel like why is this such a challenge for us? But hey, can we just agree that this is what we're going to do? And anyone listening to this, comment wherever you're watching or listening and let us know if you're going to sign on and set this devotion with us of releasing the ick and prioritizing joy.
Hell yeah.
I love it. Well, Tara, anything else we need to know? Anything? I mean,
oh man, I mean, we could spend like another 5 hours because this is another month where there's so much going on. But as far as like, this was kind of the big thing that I wanted us to talk about and share, just because there's a lot of information out there about eclipses, and I really wanted it to be focused on the empowering side of it. And I'm excited. I know that, to put it very nicely, we are in a massive evolutionary transformation as a species, as a planet, that there's a lot that has been unsettling. There's a lot that has been uncomfortable. There's a lot that is very easily overwhelming. And I just want to remind, like, when we talk about this joy, coming back to the joy, it's not a platitude. It is how we access our power and how we resist the energies that are kind of there's a lot of things that are being handed to us that we're allowed to set down and be like, I like what you said about like releasing. They're like, no, we're not gonna perpetuate the fear. We're not gonna perpetuate the xenophobia. Like, no, we're not gonna do that. So yeah, it's just really stepping into the joy and allowing ourselves to flow with the cosmos. So that's what I got.
You are so good at this. Thank you so much for bringing this report to us. And of course, we'll be back in October for what to look forward to then. But thank you for sharing all this wisdom. Thank you for sharing. You and I always have conversations around nuance and how that's so important to us and something we want to bring into any conversation we have. So we also want to thank everyone receiving this for being open to the nuance and potentially anything that got a little pokey. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But Tara, the best way to find you is on Instagram, Tara.Valkyrie.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to share? Anything people could find you? Any of the things? Come hang out with us in Moon Club in the multiverse.
Yeah, come hang out in Moon Club, and then you can find me on Instagram. That's usually where I am. I wander around TikTok, but I don't really check messages or anything there. I'm still figuring that out.
I deleted it. I said, ma'am, no ma'am.
I am pretty much just like Instagram is my main social media.
And you have links in the bio for
I got links in the bio if you want to get a reading, if whatever it might be. And I've got multiverse links in there too. So you can find me there and check it out. And
we're stalkable. We're
stalkable. Yeah, we are findable within reason.
I love you. Thank you so much. I learned so much from you every time. Mwah.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely love you. And everyone. We love everyone who listened and watched. Bye.
Yes, love yourselves, love each other. Happy stargazing.
Thank you for joining. Follow me on Instagram at crimson.minx and visit esoerotic.com to learn to live more fully and unapologetically in your magnetic power, sensual pleasure, and unlimited creative potential.